Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the DaVon Lewis Show. I'm your host, DaVon. Appreciate you guys coming out your time as I'm doing tonight for another Monday Night Raw review as we kicking off on the heels from Elimination Chamber as things were smoking hot and everything was running smoothly as we had our prospective winners from the Elimination Chamber from the men's and women. Congratulations to Becky Lynch and also to Drew McIntyre, who came off victorious as their prospective winners of the Elimination Chamber as they will be challenging Seth Rollins and Rhea Ripley for the coming up WrestleMania 40, which both matches I guarantee will probably be a banger and do their thing in a respective way. And you can't ask for anything better when it comes to both Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins and Rhea Ripley and also Becky Lynch. Tonight's card was pretty much straightforward. It was phenomenal. They had a around full house from start to finish. When it came to everybody, the crowd was rocking hot. They were great. You couldn't ask for anything better when it came to the crowd. Tonight, we ended up having Sami Zayn taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. We ended up having the Way Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae taking on Shayna Baszler and Zoe Starks, which those two put on, well, those two women from both sides put on a phenomenal match when it came to the tag team division. Also, we ended up having an appearance from Rhea Ripley and also, we end up having another segment talk directly when it came to the Grayson Waller, who is basically being hyped up following Saturday when he was at Elimination Chamber. We also had the New Day taking on Imperium in tag team action, and so much more ended up happening this following night as we also gear up and on the way towards the road to WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes is looking to continue to finish the story, as you already know how that's coming about as he continues to feud with the Bloodline, and you can't ask for anything better when it comes to where this direction is going to go, where the matches are going to stand. And I'm fully invested and fully excited to see what happens in the long run when it comes to what happens through the whole entire card. As a lot of people are speculating where what the direction will be, if it's going to be Dwayne Rock Johnson and Roman Reigns in the tag team match for night one against Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, and then their prospective championships is going to be on the line directly for that following Sunday. But stay tuned and stay posted because you never know what could happen as Triple H continues to be putting on a phenomenal writing segments each and every single time. So the story can change and the card is always subject to change. But let's go ahead and get into everything for the night. Tonight was phenomenal. You can ask for anything off the heels when it came from Elimination Chamber as we continue to road to WrestleMania. Dominic Mysterio, he came out and he introduced Rhea Ripley, which got a nice little heat. They both have a great chemistry when it comes to the crowd and know how to push and pull everything. And Rhea Ripley came off as a true face. The fans were really chanting "mommy," and then they was booing away directly at Dominic Mysterio when it came to the whole entire full segment. As they really got into the details of things, the promo was pretty nice from Rhea Ripley's perspective, from everything that she definitely was talking about when she got on the mic, where she basically said she successfully defended her title in the main event of her home country, and she says she's down, and she came from down under, and that nobody can beat her, and she's basically the main woman on top. And then, of course, she ended up getting interrupted by Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch's music ended up coming on, and of course, Becky got on the mic as well, and said they both had such a quiet night, and now she's going to beat Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. And Dominic tells her, "You can't talk to mommy like that." And then, of course, Becky Lynch ended up telling Dominic to shut up and calls him a dirty kumquat. And then Rhea says, "You won't be talking to him and putting him in his place." And then Becky Lynch says she surely will when it came to that. But of course, Rhea would end up telling her she never to disrespect Dom like that again. And congratulations on winning the Elimination Chamber. She says in about time she actually won something instead of just trash talking. And she says that she's the backbone of the division. Well, men always think that she is the backbone of everything, but in every great man is a great woman. But she's not behind Becky because mommy is always on top. That was a nice little segment. And then we ended up having a nice little introduction from as things were breaking down from the face-to-face confrontation. Nia Jax ended up arriving and ended up putting a big beat down directly on Becky Lynch and basically did everything that she can to basically take her out and put her down and basically show her dominance and to show her authority. Which I love the way how they have really just displaying her in this turnaround as she's made her return these past couple of months, and she's really just been really been dominant from start to finish. Then things went broke down when Nia Jax ended up hitting the bonsai drop directly on Becky Lynch, and then of course afterwards, Adam Pearce ended up bringing a couple of referees to break everything down, including a couple of road agents. We also ended up seeing Kenny Doan, including Jamie Nobles. We ended up seeing a couple other people with notable faces that you guys have seen over the past few years. And of course, Nia ended up backing down from that direct segment. Then they get over to the next following match, and then ended up being Sami Zayn coming out to his entrance. Then they went directly to a commercial break from there for the breakdown from there. Once they came back from commercial break, they ended up hyping up the WrestleMania Twitter package and everything from Dwayne the Rock Johnson's couple of appearances that he had been basically pushing forward and making his way throughout all the social media and try including calling Cody's somewhat fans the Cody Crybabies, and everything really just continued to be the build up story when it comes to WrestleMania. I'm loving how they continue to do that, and Dwayne's being a key piece as to being the build appeal and going through there when it comes to how they're building up the whole Cody story as he continued to make his mark and end up dethroning Roman Reigns in the near future. They come back directly into the ring. No, not the ring, but basically they went backstage interview, and was this the interviewer Jackie Redman? She was interviewing Nia Jax backstage, and Nia had a couple of things to say. She basically went across Becky won the Elimination Chamber, but she's the one who she should be going to WrestleMania, and she's going to revisit the 10 times when she tends to give Becky when she takes on Liv Morgan tonight. And then they cut back to the ring to get ready for the next match. And then you have Nakamura taking on Sami Zayn. This match was a great back and forth. They have a really great chemistry, how they work together, and you could definitely see it the way how they work together when it came to the balancing of the chain wrestling, the way how they fill each other out, and the back and forth when it came to the matches, and know the proper hot spots to win and work with each other because they had this great chemistry since day one when Nakamura made his debut in NXT, and he was in the forefront, and his first opponent was Sami Zayn when it came to how everything was breaking down. But they really went back and forth into everything, including we saw a couple of trademark moves from Sami Zayn hitting the Blue Thunderdome. We also hear Shinsuke Nakamura end up hitting Kashasa from the back, and of course a couple of near falls from there. This match went the distance for a total of 14 minutes, but you couldn't ask for anything better. I feel like it was a little bit longer than that, and the fans were really highly invested chanting, "This is awesome." And then, of course, the conclusion of the match went the distance as Sami was able to counter and catch Nakamura with a haluva kick in the back when he was propped in the corner with his face turned away. And then he ended up hitting it again and getting the pinfall. And so the story continues to build with this feud. I wonder to see where they're going to place Sami Zayn and the fold of everything and where Nakamura goes from here. If he continues to go into a beef with Sami Zayn, just leading up to everything, until they figure out what they're going to do directly when it comes to him. But we could see some really cool things when it comes to what they can do with that. Or maybe just Nakamura just going to be done with this whole entire feud, and then he's going to go beef with somebody else and call out somebody else. I'm kind of a lot luster the way how they've been doing with the whole direction with Nakamura. I feel like he deserves a little better and at least one title run for the main title. But we'll see the direction where they will put Nakamura and see where they will put him in the forefront. Then they head back to the ring, and then they end up having Chelsea Green making her entrance as they go on a break. And Chelsea Green is a big star. She's always been a big star since the TNA days, and you couldn't ask for anything better when it comes to Chelsea Green's the way how her aura, the way how she display herself. And I was chatting with a couple people even directly on X, or formerly known as Twitter, and it was a great change as we were really talking about her history, the way how she really knows how to carry herself, her persona, and it's really working out. including through 2023, where she was into her own and she really just really knows how to sell when it comes to certain moves and really just put a spotlight on her. Of course, they were doing the whole 2K ratings, and I feel like her ratings should have been up. But of course, the best thing about the 2K is that we can all edit and change those ratings over time to make them better for our likeness for each superstar and go from there. Then we ended up heading to coming back from commercial break, and then they hyped up the dark horse when we were just discussing about. They were hyping up and discussing WWE 2K24, and then of course featuring CM Punk and then Jay Cargill and a couple other ones, as it pretty much broke down all the dates directly for 2K when they're gonna be releasing all the DLCs, which every single DLC is satisfying to my liking. I feel like they did a phenomenal job this year with all the talent that they put on the card, including the Dudley Boys and Harley Race and a couple, so many, much more. And if you're a fan of W2K24, I highly recommend for you guys to cop it, even if it's just the base model. Or if you're a content creator, I recommend to go get the WrestleMania 40 edition, so you get everything, so you can have so much fun with your friends, your family, and whoever in between when it comes to W2K24. They head back to the ring when it comes to Chelsea Green. She's on the mic. She goes through the whole entire spiel on everything directly. And then she's talking about that tonight her formally issuing complaint is with management based on how everything was broken down when it came to how things would turn out. And she's under protest, and during the last chance battle royal, what they came to the whole situation where she got eliminated by Raquel Rodriguez, and she really was just bad mouthing the whole situation in the crowd and everything, and the crowd really was eating it up. She knew how to pull the strings and get them all highly invested and keep them focused directly on her. Then, of course, they ended up having Raquel Rodriguez interest broke down, and then they got directly into the match from there. And the match was pretty cool for what it was. It was short lived, but it was okay for being decent. It wasn't like a bathroom break, but it can make you highly invested, funny, because Chelsea Green knows how to pull you in and know keep you up. She knows how to sell the moves directly, and I feel like I can't wait till when they really pull the trigger on her and give her her push. She's going to be a phenomenal when it comes to the direction they go with her directly in the near future. Um, the match ended up concluding with Raquel hitting the Tihana bomb and picking up the pick three with the one. It's basically a one arm power bomb, and she picked up the victory. And of course, everything goes from there, and it sent the crowd basically happy, sending her home. And they were always love seeing Raquel making her appearance and everything. And it's kind of seeing that she's going through her own struggles with her skin condition and everything like that, but she's still keeping on, keep brighten up the everything when it comes to everybody all around her. And you can't ask for nothing more when it comes to Raquel. Raquel's always been a great shining star just based off of her smile alone. And hopefully everything works out well with the conditioning and get it fully treated and get it fully healed. And we don't know the full details of that directly as to when the timetable will be when they fully get it under control. But she's a strong trooper, and we are got our prayers with her as she continues to go through that until they get that all squared away and go from there. But other than that, everything else was smooth when it came to that singles women's match, and you couldn't ask for anything better. Then they came back to Sami Zayn. He was in the interview backstage. Let's go ahead and get over to what they were talking about. He was interviewed, um, and he said he had lost the top. He lost tonight, but he has been destructive. Um, and that not he lost, but he had won tonight. But he's on a destructive, and then about getting the momentum back on gain. And when then before he got into the segment, Imperium walked by with Gunther and stops and then sizes up, and then he smirks and laughs directly at Sami Zayn, which could be a potential match of WrestleMania. I think that needs to be the build-up card match directly for the Intercontinental title, and a lot of fans fully agreed with that based on Twitter and X, as they have been clamoring for that. Like that would be a phenomenal match, an awesome match if they put that on. But they're kind of keeping this in the dark what they're doing with the Intercontinental title matches because so many people are in the wind of this match, including Bronson Reed, including Jay Uso, including Chad Gable. There's so many people clamoring, and also we got to return to Sheamus, who will be making a switch to Monday Night Raw. So we'll basically see what happens in the long run when we get everything situated and see what happens with the Intercontinental Championship. As Gunther has so many challengers up his way, so they're kind of keeping us in the dark until they get closer to Mania. Then we know exactly what the card is. I was talking to a couple other people as well, where they were talking about just make it a 6 or 7 man ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. We haven't seen that in a little bit for the Intercontinental title. And I think that would be kind of a nice little display to put that on, showcase with the Mortals directly at WrestleMania, have a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, and then have the highest garbage person end up picking up that victory and going from there. Then we hit back to another backstage interview, and it's with Cody Rhodes, who's being interviewed by Kathy Kelly. Kathy Kelly was looking in Arabian tonight. She was basically professional, and she basically went into everything that she was basically talking about. And Cody said that he says his challenge to Rock wasn't a strategy, but it's because he got slapped across the face. He says that he's been watching Grayson Waller and talked about his first and last appearance on the Grayson Waller effect. And he point out now that he's getting his first main event on Monday Night Raw tonight. So now we know what the main event was. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys watch it, or if you haven't, I highly recommend to go check out that main event. It was a phenomenal, great main event to close out Monday Night Raw, and it's going to be your money's worth to check it out on YouTube or even just on the WWE Network directly. Then of course they pan out from that nice interview. Cody Rhodes is still on steamrolling, getting his roadblocks, dealing with a whole lot of opponents on the way towards the road to WrestleMania, and we shall see what happens in the long run when it comes to the next step of dealing with the bloodline and so many more other people as he continues to finish the story and making new chapters each and every single week on Monday Night Raw or even on SmackDown as he continues to make his way through and bulldoze through people. Imperium end up making their entrance, and then of course Gunther gets on the mic along with the other men, Luigi Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, and they really went into basically talking about everything that was going on, including Gunther begins talking about retaining the Intercontinental Championship opposed to Jey Uso last week on Monday Night Raw, and he says therefore the greatest and so on and so on, and just basically just hyping that up. And he admitted Jay also had him beat, but he felt it slipped away from him for the first time, and he said he could be honest directly. Jay also gave him a run for his money, and I would agree with that. That match was down to the wire with multiple spears that Jay was giving to him, and of course we ended up having that Jimmy Uso interference, which threw everything off from my own personal view. But it would have been nice to see Jimmy Jay in a victory, and then maybe setting up that Jimmy versus um Jay for the Intercontinental Championship. That would have kind of been a little twist to it. But of course, they're trying to keep them separated and just continue to keep that bad blood between the civil war between both brothers as they continue to fit Jobby for the high spot of being the next breakout star, which we already know is Jay Uso. But that beef is going to go a long way when it comes to once we see how they set that up and get that match intertwined. Either both GMs are probably going to work together and then make a full balance when it comes to both brothers directly. Also, they talked about that his boys, the Imperium, are going to take on the New Day later on, and he needs to address his future over 600 days as the Intercontinental Championship, which is an amazing feat. Congratulations, Gunther, to continue to make his own history each and every single day, and continue to be a full presence, is putting the title directly on the line. And you couldn't ask for anything better. I like the way how Hunter has put him in a pedestal and really just keep him in the limelight of being at his best on and as a game, as being one of those best productive superstars and just being one of the greatest Intercontinental champions of all time. And you couldn't ask for anything better. Um, and then he says that he's beating everyone who is left for him to fight for WrestleMania. He said he beat Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, The Miz, even R-Truth. And then we get a little interruption from the Judgment Day, who makes their way directly down to the entranceway, which was kind of a little surprising for a lot of people who weren't expecting the Judgment Day to come down to make their appearance. For all four members, JD Madonna, Finn Balor, um, including Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest. They all made their presence felt when it came down to make their presence for tonight's segment. And they went into full details of everything that broke down through this whole entire post interview, not interview, but face to face off between both teams, between Imperium and Judgment Day. Um, Damian Priest squares up to Gunther and he tells him that they don't sweat him, even though he is running second only to the Judgment Day, who are on top. And they run the table at Elimination Chamber, talking about all the accolades and the victories and everything that went on directly in Elimination Chamber. And they looking to do the same at WrestleMania and looking to add more gold. And they pointed directly at the Intercontinental Championship. Then Gunther, and I quote, Gunther proceeds to say that clearly Damien isn't going to cash in on him. So who will it be, Finn or the big head Damien? JD McDonough. And then Dominic Mysterio steps up, which a lot of people were kind of surprised, which we felt like that might be a little bit of a squash match. But we never know. Dominic has been stepping up in the long run and still getting that nice little hillish heat, but he knows how to get under the crowd skin. So maybe they're trying to make a little switch for Gunther and trying to make him face, but I don't think so. Gunther is a phenomenal heel. They need to keep him in that presentation of being just a great heel and then go from there directly. And then Dominic, let's get back to it. As Dominic says, the Judgment Day, they'll do it, and that means the title belongs to them. And then Gunther shoves him. And then, of course, Damien gets all super hot, and then it goes into a full breakdown as the Judgment Day is holding back Damian Priest. He's really getting like amped up, pissed off, the whole situation. And then they basically cut away to the backstage and see the New Day um, walking through the backstage, and they go into the commercial break. Then they come back from the commercial break, and they got Rhea Ripley walking up to Dominic Mysterio and the rest of the Judgment Day. Now, she stated her concerns that Dom picking a fight with Gunther, and he says he got it, and she's really reluctant to accept this because she knows, like, hey, Gunther's like a big shark, and I don't know if you're ready to step up to that yet, but we shall see when it comes to that. And then then they go into the whole breakdown of everything, and then they all basically walk away and say their piece. Then Dominic turns around, and then he walks in and sees Andrade El Idolo, and he smiles, and they catch up and talk and catch up. And that was kind of a nice little segment right there, seeing that maybe Dominic maybe going in a different direction with Andrade, or maybe they might be the next beef. But we shall see, as there's a lot of history there, as they both have had some serious history when it came to Rey Mysterio. And it could be highly interesting to see if they might make an alliance or something new may come along with a new faction over the near once the reset when it comes to after WrestleMania. Then we get back into the match, and then we have Imperium which is Giovanni Vinci and Luigi Kaiser taking on the New Day, which is Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods in a street fight. This match was full pandemonium from start to finish. I mean, it was highly invested. You couldn't ask for anything better between the Smash Mouth weapons, everything from the tables. Hell, you just needed the kitchen sink for all I care when it came to this match. These boys put on a nice little showcase tonight, going back and forth, including a nice couple moves back and forth. And you couldn't ask for anything better, including the nice little dives directly from the New Day. At the beginning of the match, they really came off swinging in the defenses. And you could just see the bad blood between both teams, as these two teams really were jobbing for positioning to just run wreck shot through the whole entire match. There was a couple commercial breaks in between this match a lot. And then, of course, we had a nice spot where Kofi throwing a chair directly at Giovanni Vinci, and a couple of lackluster weapon spots, and of course the high dive through the table from there by the New Day, which took out a couple of things, and we thought the New Day was going to take up the victory when they try to hit their patented deliverance move, and to no avail. It was broken up, and then the finisher of the match ended up happening where it was a folding chair being involved, and then Xavier Woods was trying to get a hold of Giovanni Vinci, Giovanni Vinci ended up swinging the chair backwards, and then of course Luigi Kaiser ended up picking up the roll up for the victory. So it was a nice feat when it came to New Day. We got to see where they're going with this. The New Day have a long ways to go to try to get back on the rebound and see where they stand and everything. But now Imperium is now looking stronger than ever as they're getting back on the balance of things as they pick up this victory over the New Day. So we'll see where this beef continue to intertwine between each other as the Imperium has got their hands full with so many challenges coming along, including the new challenge with the Judgment Day. So we got a whole lot going on in between with everything that's being in play with the New Day. So maybe we end up getting Big E return pretty soon because it's much needed. So we'll shall see what happens. Maybe he'll make his return directly to Mania. With whatever they got going on, wherever the showcase may be for the Intercontinental Championship directly. Moving along, we ended up having a hype real package for Grayson Waller. They went over the whole details of everything when he was in Australia, including the Grayson Waller effect and everything that was going on directly there with the whole segment with Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, which that was a kind of nice little segment going back and forth between both of them. It was kind of interesting seeing a nice little hype package. Grayson Waller is becoming his own. He's slowly getting to finding his groove, and he's becoming a little bit balanced when it comes to the roster on SmackDown, including with Austin Theory. Of course, they were doing the little hype package when it comes to 2K24 about the whole ratings thing and everything like that. And their ratings were still kind of low, but of course, you can always edit them and make them better to your liking. Um, Adam Pierce, he was on the phone in the office interview, and then Chad Gable knocks on the door and comes directly in. And he basically made a showcase. He's made his own statement and claim as being the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship. He said he was very close to being Gunther, including the whole situation when it came to making his daughter cry and everything and routine and misery. And he wants to make things right after the whole situation that went down with Gunther losing a couple months back. So we shall see where the yo-yo continue to go with the balance when it comes to where they're doing with all these challengers. Maybe we have a multi-man battle royal for the number one contender spot, or Gunther's going to have a whole lot of challengers because he's making a lot of enemies in the long run leading up to his Mania. So somebody's going to take it off of him, and it's going to be highly entertaining, but also at the same time, it's going to be a great match. So you couldn't ask for anything more than that. Um, Afterwards, they get ready for the next following match. It's Shayna Baszler and Zoe Starks as they're making their entrance, getting ready for a break as they're getting ready to take on Candice LeRae and Andy Hartwell, who had a heartfelt loss as they basically went against the women's tag team champions, the Kabuki Warriors, ended up losing, but now they're on the rebound. And then, of course, they end up explaining the whole thing of what happened and why Zoe and Shayna Baszler were complaining about the whole situation that broke down. And they felt like they were robbed and they were calling the tag team champions. And it set up this actual tag team match for the night. As this was like a quick, old-fashioned match, wasn't pretty as it could possibly be. Candice LeRae and Eddie Hunter, I feel like they're underrated, and I feel like they need a little bit more loving when it comes to what they're doing with the Wade directly. It was a nice couple of quick hot tags straight into transitional challenges, including a code breaker by Candice LeRae. And then, of course, Eddie Hartwell got the hot tag and came in and did a couple of interchanging moves. We got caught with the Karafuda clutch when she got put in sleep by Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler ended up making her tap and putting her down directly with a submission. We shall see who the next contenders are in the next coming weeks. They still got so many challenges to win for the Kabuki Warriors. So we'll see who they got lined up for them. And it'll be highly entertaining and highly interesting for the most important part, which is highly needed when it comes to women's division. They need a little bit more loving. And we shall see what happens in the long run when it comes to the direct women's tag team division and see what they do and where they're going to do and make it like a brand new, shiny, new, brand new toy and go from there. Then they hand back to Drew McIntyre, who's in the backstage segment, and they ended up basically not backstage, but he was walking to the back, and then they panned over to the commercial break. Then they come back from the commercial break, and then they do a Real Superstars when they were doing a whole bunch of tour stuff and everything when they were over there in Australia, all the little Boys and Girls Club, all the little sporting events, all the charity work that they were doing. WWE has continued to be doing a phenomenal job when it comes to helping out communities and doing their part and being highly invested. You want them to be more involved when it comes to the community and basically doing their diligence and helping out and doing such a wonderful job when it comes to the communities of each community they go and tour to and when they're in town for each city, and they did their part and you couldn't ask for anything more when it comes to both parties. Well, both parties including WWE, including whoever the commission or whoever it may be that's being involved. Then they come back to a backstage segment where you have Miz and DIY. They run into R-Truth, who is sitting on the couch reminiscing about the old days with the Judgment Day. This was the kind of like R-Truth. It's always been that good person that you don't want to sneak up on, but he always knows how to keep you highly invested and keep things moving smoothly. Then they go into the total talks about everything, and Gargano says that they're here to cheer him up and says that they have a plan. And Truth is excited, but about the return of Regeneration X, which that made me laugh, and I enjoyed that little segment. And he said it doesn't even work, and then of course they get off together and head out for whatever the next segment is, which a lot of people have been speculating that it's going to be Miz and R-Truth taking on the Judgment Day for the Tag Team Championship at Mania, which I think that would be a nice little op out for them to get that victory and Awesome Truth get that big victory over at Media and also get their shine over there in Philadelphia. Then we get ready for Drew McIntyre, who's coming down to the ring to do his in the ring promo. And he grabs the mic and then he starts talking. And his promo was really deliberate. And of course, he did a nice little shoot to CM Punk with each thing that he was talking about. And he said he was kind of a little still worn down from the jet lag, getting directly there. And then also excited about his world title match at WrestleMania directly. He said he had to be honest that he feels like hell right now. And then his eardrum was blown out in the match and had an incident after the show. And the doctor told him that there was no chance that he might make it to Mania. He looked at him and said, "Who you think I am, CM Punk?" Which that got me going. I laughed my ass off 100%. And then he proceeded to sit down and cross his legs in the ring and said he knows he hurt CM Punk, but it is not a part of the chamber or at WrestleMania. And he probably kills him to see him in the world title match. And he thought of Punk after his victory, which was kind of funny when it came to Drew McIntyre's spot, directly just putting that on display and celebrating about he knows he's straight edge, he doesn't drink, but he basically said he got twice as many drinks and therefore a celebration when it comes to CM Punk directly, which was a nice little dig. And then he says, now it's time to get to serious business. Then he calls out Seth Rollins. This was a nice little segment back and forth between promos between both competitors as they really dig into everything. As we are on the heels of Seth Rollins, end up getting his clearance to come back and be rocking and rolling, ready for WrestleMania. And going from there, Seth Rollins was tooted and booted fully in his Jacob Bavro two-piece and was looking good. And he was on pure red and he was congratulating Drew McIntyre, the whole thing. They really traded blows back and forth. The promos were phenomenal when it came to everything in between. I even talked about the whole situation where Drew McIntyre missed out on having a title match with fans there back in 2020. And now 2024, 2 years fast forward, now he gets to be in crowd of the crowd for an actual championship match and see where that goes from there. And of course, the talks was really like straight serious. Drew McIntyre made his case talking about that Seth Rollins shouldn't be intertwining with the bloodline because he wants him at 100%. And then Seth Rollins told him don't worry about him and that he's going to make his own decisions and that he's going to be ready, willing, and ready. And when it comes to that, and that whatever the route he decides to go, it's his own choice. He's a grown man and going from there. So we see that pretty much broke down as this match is going to be really good. And we shall see when it comes to the main event card. It'll probably be on night 2, probably the first match of the night. But we shall see where they go with this directly when it comes to the future of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. And I look forward to seeing Drew McIntyre maybe coming out on top in this one. But we shall see what happens because Drew needs his shine and he needs that spotlight to basically saying that he did it. He made his redemption story before CM Punk when CM Punk makes his return, probably sometime between either SummerSlam or he maybe make his return back a little bit at a later date. Most likely the latest Survivor Series turning back around the corner. Um, then we get ready for the next following match is Nia Jax taking on Liv Morgan. This match went the distance for a good little. This match went for 14 minutes. I was kind of surprised in the length of this match, but these ladies actually went a little distance. It was probably one of a little bit longer Nia Jax matches that she actually was on Showcase. They did a couple of spots, including a couple things with the steel steps, including Liv Morgan was trying to do everything she can take advantage of the spot, but Nia was just overpowering and doing everything that she possibly can to keep things under wraps when it came to the match directly. There's a couple of commercial breaks in between the match. And then, of course, the match ended up being broken down with a disqualification where we ended up having Becky Lynch come down, getting her revenge, and going directly at Nia Jax. I mean, she put a beat down on her until Nia Jax basically ran away directly and clearing her case from there. Of course, we saw Liv Morgan on her camera shot. She was looking unhappy and she was getting pissed off. She was not satisfied whatsoever with the direction that they were going when it came to how they were doing things with that. So we shall see where Liv Morgan stands out and where she wants to go from there. But you never know what could happen directly with the beef when it comes to all three competitors being involved and seeing what Adam Pearce will be doing with these ladies, as these ladies looking like they all want to tear each other. So we shall see what happens in the long run. Then they pan back to a spot in the back. Then they end up having Grayson Waller, Austin Theory. They interview, of course, Grayson Waller was talking about the whole situation about his boy Austin Theory getting beat down and everything in between, and basically just making their case about the main event, hyping himself up for the main event. And then, of course, they pan to the another segment of seeing Cody Rhodes walking, getting ready in the backstage area for the main event. Then the commentary made their condolences to Ole Anderson, who was one of the original Four Horsemen, along with Arn Anderson. Condolences to his family, which he was a phenomenal professional wrestler back in the heyday, and I enjoyed his work. I always watch his work and tough as nails. And it's sad to see that he transitioned and now he's on into a solo return of heading to the next life. And best wishes to his family as they're dealing with this. And if you're close to the family, send my peace and love and go from there. And then they ended up coming back from commercial break from a backstage segment. And they ended up being Becky Lynch demanding a match with Nia Jax as she was talking with Adam Pearce. And he said, he's making it official directly from there. Then we ended up having Liv Morgan rolling up in a buy rate with Becky and said she's making everything about her and she shared her case and she was pissed. She was highly pissed. And we shall see what goes on from that as that face off was looking like most likely Liv Morgan probably is going to give payback because Liv is always about payback. And so Liv is going to be on her tirade of her either trying to get back at Becky or get back at Nia Jax in the long run. And then we hit to Jay Uso, who was in an interview backstage directly, and he says that he's going to keep being him, and he says that he fell short of his goals, even when in the Intercontinental Championship, even when Drew McIntyre rolled him up in a good place, and then going from there. But then we ended up having Drew McIntyre rolled up on him directly, and they had a little chat and went back and forth, and then everything else to go from there. And then Uso throws the first punch, but of course they get full apart from there from whatever was exchanged directly from that segment. And we shall see what goes on with that beef as it continues to steamroll directly towards WrestleMania in the long run. Then we get ready for the main event of the night, which was Grayson Waller taking on Cody Rhodes. This match was a decent match. It was a 20-minute match. It went the distance. Grayson Waller really was into his own. He really delivered himself. He really showed himself directly. He really was showing his deliverance away, how he was doing things. And this match went the full distance, including every dingo transitional move, chain wrestling. Grayson Waller hitting his trademarks. Cody even hitting the Cody cutter. And everything went smooth from there when it came to this direct match. And then Cody ended up, of course, prevailing and then hitting the crossroads for the victory for the 1, 2, 3. And from there, we ended up having the announcers hyping up that they heard Paul Heyman backstage. And then, of course, we got an interruption from Paul Heyman as he was making an entrance with some security. And Cody Rhodes proceeded to roll out the ring, grab a chair, and he grabbed the microphone as well. And of course, Heyman does his usual introduction, of course, but Cody cuts him off and says he don't give a damn what his name is. If the bloodline is set up, if this is a bloodline setup, he's going to go down swinging. And Cody is serious mode, straightforward, and it goes straight into everything. And then, of course, this promo was back and forth with everything that was going on, but it broke down once Heyman and the security went down directly to the ring. And Cody let them know he was in no mood for no bloodline setup, but he told them, so the security got directly in the ring. And then Cody told them they make any step closer, then they're going to make a problem and lay everybody out directly. And Paul Heyman said, "Oh, what about me? This is an exception," and go from there. Then Paul Heyman tried to do that, and then Cody just went off with the chair, so swinging on all the security. Paul Heyman covered out the ring directly from there, off the apron. And Cody went to town and basically taking all the security out directly. Probably some fines directly maybe directed, if anything, because they're probably going to put that on there of having Cody Rhodes put in the handcuffs and going from there, or maybe with a Roman beatdown. But from there, Heyman ended up directing himself to have two phones and calling Roman Reigns and calling The Rock. And then, of course, Cody didn't care about all that. And he basically shared his case because Paul Heyman was telling him to back down from calling out The Rock and challenging him. And Cody just did not care. He was like, I'm calling him out. This is what I want. And it's because of the slap that basically happened. And he says the bloodline isn't hunting him. He's hunting the bloodline. So we know that Cody's on a warpath. He's on a one-track mind, and he's looking to take out directly the bloodline directly. So Roman and them, they better be looking over his shoulder because we don't know if Cody's going to be doing like this old school WWE style of coming out, popping out through the crowd and just attacking each member one by one. But we shall see what happens in the long run when it comes to Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes was standing tall tonight to end up Monday Night Raw, and you couldn't ask for anything better. And it was a great show from start to finish. I enjoyed this phenomenal show with everything that was entwined with the card, including the Miz segment with DIY and R-Truth, including seeing Gunther and the Judgment Day intertwining, including the street fight between the New Day and Imperium. That was a great one. And then continue the warpath of Nia Jax continued to look dominant until later in her match where she was stopped in her tracks by Becky Lynch. So we shall see to which each show story continues their progress and becomes a lot better each and every single week. All the while, I appreciate you guys tuning in and catching my episode for this week for the edition of Monday Night Raw for February 26th. You guys be safe, be breezy, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.